Well, this morning, like I said, we planned on one thing, but just felt a different tug during this last week. And I'm sure I'm up here and you're thinking, well, we're going to talk about Mother's Day, right? Well, sure, we're going to talk about Mother's Day, but more importantly, I want to talk about the women that are in all of our lives today. That's what I want us to focus on. I think I have something that God's put on my heart. Hopefully it'll reach your ears too, to teach all of us, though, not just the women, but I hope that women, you're listening this morning, something that we can all learn from. And I pray that through this you're challenged in a good way, that God touches your lives. So Lane, promptly, if you were listening, he kind of gave us a head start. What are we talking about this morning? Well, I want to look at Ruth. Ruth chapter 1, the very beginning of Ruth, and I want to read verses 1 through 18 so we have the whole story. So the words will be on the screen if you want to follow along. I'll read. In the days when judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi, and the names of her 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem, Judah. But they went to Moab and lived there. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was there left with 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she left that place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husband and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud, and said to her, "We will go with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons? Who would become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought I was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me." At this they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or turn my back on you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. Now, I have a feeling that you probably heard some of these words before this morning, right? You've heard this in maybe different contexts. You're trying to place, where have I heard some of the scripture before? Probably in countless weddings. You've heard some of these words in countless weddings before. And couples will recite some of these words to each other like a pledge. So it's a vow that you normally hear. But we normally don't associate it with a strong woman named Ruth. That's not where we're getting the context when we think about it. We overlook where this familiar passage came from. So what is it about Naomi that made such strong words come out this morning? What is it that caused her to say that? Because that's pretty powerful words. Where you'll go, I'll go. Where you'll die, I die. Where you're buried, I'll be buried. That's a strong message. So there's something about Naomi that I want us to look at this morning, to focus on. I think she may be the key to our actual Mother's Day message that we need to hear. So to go back quickly, so you understand this story, we have Naomi. She has 1 husband and 2 sons. So she's got 3 men in her lives. And famine drives them out of their home of Judah, and they go to Moab. And they live there. And I'm sure they were intending just to stay for a while. They probably weren't going to be there real long in their minds. You know, that's how short move, when you're moved out, you think, well, I'll be back to where I belong in no time at all. So along the way, they get married. The 2 sons get married. So now she's got 2 daughters-in-law, a husband, and 2 sons. But then not too long after the move, her husband passes away. So, I mean, she's probably still relatively young in that day and age, 40s or 50s, but her husband's now gone. But luckily she's got her 2 sons. And of course, they were married, like we said. But then the Bible tells us in that scripture, within 10 years' time of leaving their home, going to a brand new place, both of her sons are dead too. So now we have a woman who had a husband and 2 sons, and now all she has is 2 daughter-in-laws that really aren't even related to her anymore. A quintessential widow, right? What we think of as a widow. According to most definitions, I think that most of us would say she's no longer a mother. She's not a mother anymore, right? Because she doesn't have a husband and she doesn't have children. So a lot of us would say her duties as a mother ended 10 years after she left her home. You know, if we just go by what everyday people would say and think. And you know, if you really read the scripture, that was kind of Naomi's initial reaction. She was kind of thinking, I'm not a mother anymore. That was her reaction to it at the beginning. And of course, she finally hears at some point that the famine has ended. So she's ready to go back home. So she packs everything up because she's ready to go. She's heading out. And her 2 daughter-in-laws, they're ready to go too. They packed everything up and they're going to follow her on out to her homeland. And to me, you know, I was thinking about this. If you were a widow in that day and age, it was tough to be alone. Because society usually pushed you out. If you had 2 people who were willing to come along and help you on that journey, you'd probably take that. I know I would. I'd be like, man, I need that help. Somebody to come along with me. So, you know, at first glance, to hear Naomi's words seems kind of foreign because it's not expected. Instead of her saying, please come with me, I need y'all to come with me, she says, go back home. Not that I don't want you, but I want you to go back to where you came from. There's no need to go with me. So the 2 daughter-in-laws, strangely enough, they resist. But Naomi tries to convince them, you know, by saying, I'm too old, I can't be a mother again, you're going to wait around until I have some more children and then wait for those children to grow up. So she tries to hit them with a little common sense. Tells them like it is. She doesn't beat around the bush. She gets right to it. So after a lot of tears, Orpah, not Oprah. we were reading this in Sunday school class, and I'm going to tell Megan. Megan's like, Oprah. And I said, that don't say Oprah. So Orpah is one of the daughters-in-law. Orpah changes her mind. And she says, okay, well, you told me this common sense. This, you know, I understand now. Even though I want to do this, you're giving me this, so I'm going to follow it, and I'll take what you're telling me and do that. But Ruth, she does not. She stays behind, despite the best arguments that Naomi can keep coming up with. And that's where we got those verses earlier. So let's look at it again, now that we have some context. So here it is on the screen again. A little small. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely. Even death separates you and me. So again, there's those wedding words that we associate between a man and a woman. Whenever you hear it, you're like, oh, that's really great. This man and this woman are saying this to each other. But in actuality, what we have here is 2 widowed women, an elderly one and a younger one, sharing these words between each other. Like a whole different spin when you think about it from that perspective. But those words, what is it about Naomi that causes Ruth to say this? What is it that's so strong about Naomi that causes her to stay? And those words were so powerful to Naomi, even though she had all these arguments and she kept coming with more and more and more. It says as soon as she heard these words, she stopped. And she stopped arguing and ceased. She just took her in that moment. And they returned to Judah. The Bible continues. They returned back to Naomi's homeland. And there she took care of her mother-in-law. She took care of Naomi. Ruth did. You know, eventually, Ruth ended up meeting a man named Boaz. And it turned out to that old happily ever after story that we normally think of. But like I said earlier, I don't want to talk about Ruth because a lot of people talk about Ruth. She got a whole book of the Bible named after her. So Ruth's already got some love going on, okay? What I want to talk about is Naomi. What is it about her? There's something, unique about Naomi that we're missing because we focus on Ruth and other parts of the Bible here. A lot of times we're quick to write Naomi off because we're like, Naomi's just a widow woman. She's probably feeble. She's old. We question her because she questioned her faith. She even said at one point in the Bible, she said, start calling me bitter. That was what she wanted her name to be. She wanted people to just call her bitter because that's how she felt. So we look down on her maybe because of that. Because she said that God had forsaken her. But in truth, she's none of these things, and she's so much more than we give her credit for. And to me, when we really look at Naomi and we study her, that's where the real Mother's Day message is found this morning. I like to look up words and see what they mean, especially like the bigger words that I've never heard before. But of course, we've all heard the word mother, but have we really looked at the word mother? So I looked it up, and I saw the definition. Here's the very first one. So we can look at it together. This is the definition of mother. It says a female who has produced an offspring. Doesn't that sound tender and heartwarming? A woman who's had something. Or just a female who's had something. Is that what you normally think of when you think of mother? I know I don't really think of that. That doesn't come to mind. But maybe we should start calling it that. Maybe we should call it Women with Offspring Day. Would that sound better? Kevin, we could have T-shirts, and we could put up a sign and put it on there, Women with Offspring Day. I don't think it's going to catch on. So instead of that definition, instead of calling it Women with Offspring Day and advertising with banners and billboards and putting it up, I want to look at another definition. So let's look at this next definition together. This is the very next one that you find in there. It says a mother is someone to look after someone with great care and affection, sometimes to an excess degree. When y'all think of mother, doesn't that definition fit so much better? I know in my mind, when I think mother, that's what I think of. Not someone just female who has offspring. I just think of someone who cares for me, shows affection. To me, that's the real Mother's Day. That's a mother right there. So just because a woman doesn't have offspring, never given birth, this definition, she can still be a mother. Just because you don't have a husband or children living anymore here on this earth, doesn't mean you're not a mother, because you can still fit this definition. A true mother this morning is somebody who's in action. It's a woman of action, okay? A woman who shows care and affection to those around her. So how do you become a mother? How do you become a mother in this sense? How does one do that? And I think that's why we're looking at Ruth this morning. Ruth has those deeper answers for us. Naomi actually showed us how to serve as a mother in this sense this morning. First of all, let's look at Naomi. When it came down, push came to shove, what did she do? She told the truth. She told Orpah and Ruth exactly what was going on. She beat around the bush and said, this is how it is. I'm telling you, this is how it is. And they gave them the truth to it. Said, there's going to be a rough road ahead. I can't give you any more children. So she told them exactly how it was instead of just lying to them or twisting the truth on them. So she gave a logical presentation to those around her. Because of her motherly approach, somewhere along the way, Ruth took to this. And basically, Ruth's words tell us that she says, you're my mother. I'm taking you, and I'm going to claim you, and I'm going to take care of you because I see you as my mother. And one day, that advice and that motherly instinct that Naomi gave her, it led Ruth to marry a man named Boaz. You may have heard that name before. Well, after she married Boaz, guess what? Naomi technically became a grandmother. Why is this important? Well, that grandson, his name was Obed. Why is Obed important? Because Obed was the grandfather of David. Why is David important? Because eventually David led to Jesus. So that's a big deal. We're all here because of that. If you read deeper in Ruth, you actually find out more about Naomi. You find out that once she returned to Judah, her homeland, even though she was a widow, it says that people from the village from Judah would come around and come to her. And they would seek her out. They would actually come to Naomi and they would seek her out. It says that women of the town would come to her for advice. So I can just imagine she was that one woman that everybody knew they could come to. And they would get that hug. They would get those kind words. And they also knew that she was going to tell them like it is. Sometimes mothers, y'all got to do that, right? You just tell it like it is. They needed to hear that every now and then. So for some reason, she stood out. Even though she was a widow, she had no husband, no children. She stood out. She was a mother to all kinds of people there. So she was practicing this definition right here that we see on the screen. She was looking after people with affection and care. But you see, she also helped out by not only telling the truth and reaching out and helping those in need, but she was somebody who put words into actions. She didn't just talk about it, she did it too. She actually had to show Ruth how to reach out to Boaz, because y'all know men, we like a woman, and we really have no idea how to talk to her or how to do things. That was Boaz. Boaz had no idea what he was doing. He knew he liked Ruth. So Naomi actually had to say, okay, Ruth, he's a man. He doesn't know what he's doing. Here's how you reach him. So she was there for that. And of course, we know that led to a grandson, which led to David, which led to Jesus, which led to us being here to have eternal life. Which goes to even the bigger thing. To me, the biggest fact about Naomi, the biggest fact about this mother, is what she did for Ruth personally. Because if you caught Ruth's words, the wedding words, she says, "My God will be your God." So in that moment, her example to Ruth led her to a relationship with God. That's the ultimate mother. A mother leads people in a relationship with God. Just the way you walk and you talk and what you do, they see it through you and it shines. So she reached out and led her to that bigger relationship. And God's blessed every one of us in this room because of that relationship. Because she chose to mother her, even though it wasn't her mother. So yes, Naomi may not have had offspring, but throughout the rest of the book of Ruth, you find that she was a mother. And you know what? In this day and age, anyone can be a mother. Sometimes a father has to step up and be a mother. You just have to rely on God to trust us through it. And, personally in my own life, and I know you'll have stories too, but I've seen this mother characteristic displayed for me. My own mother has showed me all kinds of ways to mother. And it's not the noun sense. I know she's a noun sense, but she served as senior counselor at the Houghton High School for many years. I won't say how many years, 42. She was there a long time, through 3 generations of people. So a lot of people came and went while she was there. And over that time, she contacted tens of thousands. That's not an exaggeration. She literally touched tens of thousands of people, one-on-one basis. Because she'd sit down with every child, talk about their schedule. She'd sit down with those parents and talk to them. So tens of thousands of students. And I remember one time, one of those students that came up to me and she just said, and I heard the story many, many times, but I just remember she said, "I love your mother." She always shows exactly what to say to me to make my day better. She even tells me what I need to hear in that moment when I need it. I've lost track of how many people come up to me. When I was younger, she would say, "That's my mother too." They would tell me that. Now that we're older, they'll say, "That's my grandmother." But they'll say that. And even one of the girls, she'll come up to me and she'll call me mom. She'll say, "You're my uncle." I'm her uncle. But they would claim my mother, and they would say, with no reservation, they'd say, "That's my mother too. That's my grandmother." And they would claim her. Not because they were offspring to her, right? But there was something that she did in their life. And I could go on and on with that, but you get the point, right? In our household, there's 3 boys, and my parents would say they didn't need any more, right? My father always used to say, "Eeny, meeny, miny, ain't gonna be no more." But we feel like there's tens of thousands. I feel like I have tens of thousands of brothers and sisters because of that. But I want to point out some more examples that are even just as personal to me. And it goes to this part of this church right here. My two boys. They have Sunday school right over here in these rooms. They have KFC right over here in these rooms. And there's an impact that's going on in their lives. And y'all may not even see it, but we see it on a daily basis. For example, we were listening to a Vacation Bible School song in the car. The first time we had heard it. And the words came on. And it said, "I was blind, but now I can see again." And instantly, the song was still going on. Instantly, my oldest looks at me and he says, "Hey, that sounds like Paul. Remember where Paul was blinded? And then God came through and dropped the scales off his eyes. And then Paul went out. He just goes on and on. He starts telling me the life of Paul. And he's like, "We're going to call that Paul song." I didn't teach that to him. He got that here from the ladies who teach in that room. from those of y'all who take the time to do that. That's where they got that. Another one, we'd been gone for 3 days in New Orleans, and we were coming back on Wednesday. We left Wednesday afternoon. And y'all know what kids normally ask on the way home, right? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Well, my youngest, instead of asking that, he goes, we're going to make it in time for church? We're going to make it in time for church? You know, he's asking that because there's something here that he's getting impacted on. And he has that motherly feel here. Somebody is showing him great care and affection. Even to excess sometimes, but that's okay. It's just that motherly care and affection that he gives. And it's caused something different in their lives. And that even happens when my two were running around crazy, George included, right? When they're running around being themselves. But y'all will take the time and you calm them down. Those moments, you're being motherly to them, but they're not your offspring. I know you're glad sometimes. And sometimes they'll come up, my boys come up, and they'll just give ladies a hug. Because they feel that affection from you. They feel it. It's made a difference in their lives. I've often said to Jessica, there's no better place that I could think of to raise my children than right here in this church. Because of the people that are here, especially the women and the men, but the women that just take the time to be a mother. They don't have to, but they take the time to be that mother to my children. It's making a big impact in their lives and in mine. So what's the challenge that God is asking us today, this Mother's Day? There's countless people out here in this world, even in this congregation, this very morning, that need just that one person to show them love, guidance, wisdom. They need that in their lives. And my question is, what's stopping any of us from being the mother to those around us who need it? The only prerequisite that God asks is to have a willing heart. If you'll give that willing heart, He can give you an opportunity to mother. Because a real mother is this. It's someone who looks after someone with great care and affection. To excess degree sometimes. But we love that excess degree. So ladies, I encourage you this morning to give out those free hugs. They don't cost anything. Give out those kind words because we need them. We need y'all to mother us. And the thing is, you may not know this lifetime. I guarantee you Naomi had no clue that down the line Jesus was going to be born as a lineage of decisions that she made. She had no clue, but it happened all the same. You may not have any clue what those kind words and that hug are that you give to that child or anybody else in your life. You may not know it this lifetime, but it can be powerful. It can make a difference in somebody's life and change everything. So God can use all of us, you ladies in here this morning, if you can choose to be a mother. But not just a mother who has offspring, a mother who shows someone great care and affection. That's the mother we're looking for this morning. So y'all all have that gift. All God's asking you is to put it in action this morning. Put that mother in action this morning. We need you, ladies. We need you to be a mother to us. Amen.